Welcome to Pirate Living Podcast. We are your hosts, Kristen and Karan. On this podcast, we are ordinary people living extraordinary lives. These are pirates who take small, bold actions daily to social change. Pirate life is all about rebelling and breaking rules for good. Change starts by first breaking our inner rules. After all, the hardest rules to break. The pirates we highlight have dedicated themselves to creating good trouble.
Today on our podcast, we're excited to chat with Mike Schwartz, aka the Rock Doctor. Mike is a rock star since 2005, who is helping to create other rock stars using his music fit method. Mike also writes music to move through and to called flow jams. And as a fellow Enlifted coach, he's carrying the torch and helping rid the world of the victim mentality. Welcome, Mike. We're excited to have you on today.
Thank you so much. It's going to be, we haven't had much fun yet.
No,
so.
not yet. We haven't already been dealing with half an hour of technical issues.
I'm expecting a really boring show right now.
Very dull.
No, just really dull. I want to keep it no laughing.
The dullest.
0% laugh.
Zero fun. This is a zero fun podcast.
That's a serious pirate captain hat going on there. So
thank you.
Serious hat.
Yes.
It's a very serious time in my life. This is this is what I do when I wake up and I want to be serious. This is usually it. So rock.
Mike, you are a pirate captain, obviously, clearly, and have inspired a community of unicorn pirates. So will you please spin us the tale of what started you on your personal pirate journey that brought you to where you are today?
July 23rd, 2015. That was the day that rock and roll saved my soul. You see, I'm going to Tarantino that shit, though, because we're going to come back just a few years prior to that so you guys get a lay of the land here. So all my career, I've been balancing the dilemma, if you will, between rock star lifestyle and athlete, coach, fitness professional. Two seemingly polarizing communities, right? And back in 2013, I had this great band. We were coming up on, and I was like the drummer. I was the guy that was leading the ship, captain hat and all. I was ready to get out there. We had booked this Western skid. We were going to head all the way out to Vancouver, back up through Kamloops, and then back into the interior, and then all the way out to Saskatchewan. We had like 5 or 6 dates, and it was a big deal for us. And just as any good prospective pirate would, we did our kickoff show at the diviest of all dives in Calgary, Alberta, our hometown, because we thought, why not? Now, this place that we played was called Vern's, and it's one of those places that you don't go to Vern's, you end up at Vern's, if you know what I mean. Right? So we play this really grungy, gross, it was just what you could imagine, just the worst of the worst, but it was so much fun. And we kill the set, we get out back, and we're packing up. And we're talking about the next few hours and organizing logistics and such. And 2 of the guys go, yeah, no, we're not. We're done. What? And we thought, oh, yeah, you're funny, right? Yeah, you're going to go get the U-Haul. You're done. I get it. You're done because you're going to go get the U-Haul, right? No, they tapped out right there on tour kickoff. And they say, no, we're done. We're not going. I didn't book the U-Haul. The one guy that quit and didn't book anything. So we're sitting there going like, well, we're supposed to be in Kelowna in about 14 hours. So that's not cool. And meanwhile, in my head, I'm thinking, how am I ever going to be able to face up with the bookers? That it was my face on the band. I was like, I'm the guy responsible for this. This is crap. And inside, I'm just going, just livid. Turns out we have to cancel the tour. And at that point, I feel they've completely abandoned me, and I abandon the music industry. I get super jaded and go, fuck that. Can't do this. I quit. I'm done with music. And then fast forward, I go straight into one sport, because balancing those two lifestyles. I go back into the sport world and be like, I know what I can do. The Olympics had just happened. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go speed skate. Why? Because that's the one sport that only I'm in control of. I don't have to rely on 4 other guys to get me to where I want to go. I got to race myself, beat the ice, beat the clock. Cool. That works. Turns out I got pretty good at it. Good enough that in 2015, I was offered a spot to go for a tryout out in Germany, in Insel, southern border, right on the border of Austria. They don't speak a lick of English, right? Like, so it was good. It was good practice for me to get better than conversational of German, right? My mother was born in Berlin, so it was a passion of mine anyway. So I'm like, cool, this is a great opportunity. Let's go for a skate. Now, this is the part of the story where I would have done things differently, because I'm also thinking, hey, cool, single dude, ready to rock. Let's do a Euro trip too. What could possibly go wrong? Nothing says high performance training camp than Amsterdam, Berlin, and the UK right before it, right? So I'm sitting there going like, somehow I still made it to camp, and it turns out I made the team, made the development team. So I get there and I'm speed skating around. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. And I get this opportunity. I get this on the same day, 23rd of July there. Comes in and I get this email from my airline that was offering, I think they were just pressed for getting a flight back to North America. They're offering my flight a few days earlier for $300 less. And now me, in poor mindset, scarcity mindset, athlete mentality, poor trainer, poor musician mentality, goes, oh, I can save $300 and I'll get home sooner, which means I'll be able to get back here sooner. The trick was I had to leave like right now. And for those of you listening, that's Germany's a big country, especially with trains. So I had to get all the way to the north end of the country, Frankfurt, to catch my plane, which was in the next day. So on the 24th, it was like leaving at noon, or I had to be at the airport or something by noon. So I had to leave like right now. So I get on the phone with the exercise physiologist, which was the only guy with a car to get me back up to the train station, to get up, have a layover in Munich, and then get up overnight train to Frankfurt. So I had all choreographed, but I jumped off of my spin flush, finished my training, packed my bags, and got up to the train, made it on time. It was great. So I'm on the train Wi-Fi, and I'm just like, because I'm relaxed now. I'm sitting on the train going, okay, cool. What's going on? Oh yeah, I remember there was this band playing in Munich. And I always wanted to see like a festival or a show or something in Germany, right? Because it's just like you hear, oh, it's just a different atmosphere. Sure as shit was. It was great. Get into Munich, and yep, Intergalactic Lovers. They're playing in Munich the night I'm going through Munich. I'm like, you're kidding me. What are the odds? That's great. I don't know Munich at all. And as soon as I'm off the Wi-Fi, I don't have data. So I get into Munich, into the train station. I go, well, shit, now what? How do I find the Ampere where they're playing? So I talked to this guy. Let's call him Helmut. Okay. Helmut, he's sitting there in a poncho. He's sitting beside the train station. He's going, he speaks as much German or as much English as I speak German. So it's a bit of a confusing little conversation. And he points me over into what looks like the Enchanted Forest. He's going, oh, I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm like, meanwhile, I'm dressed like I'm ready to hike the friggin' Alps, not go to a nightclub, right? So I've got this trekking backpack on. I'm coming from camp and I look like an athlete. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I figure, what do I have to lose? I got 6 hours to kill or something before the train overnight anyways. Let's go take Helmut up, and I cross over the bridge, over the river, and then into, like I said, the Enchanted Forest. Now, if I'm getting in there, it's way too dark. It's too quiet. It's just like, this guy sent me to his homies. They're gonna jump me. I'm dead. And then I turn the corner and come to a clearing, and all I hear is, I'm like, no shit, Helmut, you're right. That's amazing. Helmut, thank you. And then sure shit, you got this warehouse that has been converted into a nightclub. That's what they do, right? Awesome. The Ampere right there. Dude pointed me right there. Band's playing. I get to the door. The doorman, Johann, let's call him that. He doesn't speak any English at all. So he gets his other bud, Hans. Hans comes out. I start talking. I'm a Canadian national athlete. I really just want to go in. I give him my story. He's like, oh, Canada, of course, as we all know, Canadians are loved in Europe, right? So that wins me over. They tell, oh, no, don't worry about cover, which is great because it was something like 20, 25 euro, which is way too much for the starving athlete in me. And I go, no. Okay, cool, great. Just buy the round for the bartenders and whatever after the show, and you'll be good. Just don't start any shit. Okay, cool. Sweet. So I get in. They even take my bag, put it behind the bar. How nice, right? Catch the last few songs of the show, and the band, being the musician I am, I go up and I go, oh, how you guys doing? Tell them my story and everything. They were great. They were fantastic. Just wanted to let them know. And then I see the guitarist go like this, and he's like rubbing his trap, and I immediately take the captain hat off, put the coach hat back on, and I go, I got a fix for you, man. Let me help you. Because I got all my training gear in the backpack. I'm like, shit, this is great. Awesome. So I grabbed my lacrosse ball. I still got the same one. Grab the lacrosse ball, get him to pop it up onto his trap and lean into the wall, or the pillar, I think it was. It was a pillar right in the actual like right on the dance floor. It was a weird spot. It's right there. And he's like, boom, pops up in there, and he's doing what is now known as one of the 5-minute fixes. It's a staple in the Music Fit method. He releases his trap, feels great, goes, oh my God, guys, we got to bring this guy on tour. Got to bring on this guy. And meanwhile, I'm going, I'm an athlete. I fly back home tomorrow. I'm coming back to Germany. We'll catch you on the next one. Didn't even click in. Somewhere over the Atlantic, though, I go, oh, that's cool. I get back to Calgary. I'm set. Doctors are like, yeah, you're good to go. We just need to do the MRI. All your tests are clear, MRI, and then we're clear. We can get medical clearance to go back to Germany to make me the athlete I am, right? And then I get a phone call. They go, Al, everything checked out good except the MRI. Your atrial valve grew about 1 millimeter since last year. You're asking for a death sentence. For the background, by the way, I had open heart surgery when I was 3 months old. So this is a big issue for me. And I'm sitting there going like, oh my God, I'm being forced to retire. Just like I was forced out of the band. I'm forced out of this, and all these like, everybody is attacking me, and it's an abandonment thing. And I have to be. So as you can imagine, I'm forced from retirement at that point, and I don't go back, and I'm sitting there going like, well, what the hell is next? And then I start thinking, I'm not an athlete. I don't have a band. And I spiral into this depression thing. And I go right down into this funnel of sad depression, have no identity crisis. I come across vocabulary and get into language work and realize all the shit talk that I was doing to myself with projections, pointing the blame on the band. No, it wasn't the band that forced me to quit. I quit the band. I own that now. I chose to leave the band and rock and roll, and I chose to go into speed skating, and I chose to live and be the retired athlete rather than have something happen on the ice with my heart. So the idea of me being able to actually own my shit really came out in that. And in doing so, I realized there's a lot of other people that are in that same situation with music, especially. We have this tendency to blame the industry. We have the tendency to blame Corona. Well, we can't play our shows because of Corona. And we're sitting around waiting for somebody else's permission. And that to me is absolute bullshit. And the reason I through trial and error came up with the whole idea of Music Fit Method is to get people to actually have agency over their lives. And that's in a nutshell, a 15-minute nutshell. That's essentially what has come to be with the Music Fit Method.
Yeah, that's a cool story. And so with the work with Music Fit Method and the work that you're doing, what is the social rebellion that you're starting?
Oh yeah, well, you know what? It's interesting because everybody that knows rock star lifestyle comes back to drinking, boozing, going hard, going heavy, staying up all night. And the real rock stars are the ones that are actually taking care of themselves and owning their shit, both good and bad. right? So the actual social rebellion is to change that entire mindset of what a real rock star actually is, to get us out of the Lemmys of the Motorhead and the, you know, the even to an extent, like the big guys now, it's like the Foo Fighters, and they're, you know, the idea that it's cool to be really messed up all the time. And when we can actually look at that from a place that, hey, what if that's just a cover for all the shit that you got going on inside? What if the songs that you're writing blame rock, your Linkin Parks and your early 90s blame rock stuff? Like, I could go through the list of the victimhood in those songs. What if that was just, what if we could take music and make it a message of healing? Maybe we could take that. Cool. We can really work with it, work through it. And a big part of the method actually talks about, rather than working out, working through or working in, where we can heal first and then portray that message out into the universe, instead of using all of that anger and that frustration, that pent up rage and all the stuff that we haven't resolved inside, and putting it out there into the world. So other people are now hitting those same stories and those same victimhood statements, and it's just all that kind of stuff. So it's really getting a message of healing across for music, because we are super spreaders. Name one person that doesn't listen to music, and I'm going to call you a liar, because there's like, I haven't come across that. So that's the social rebellion. That's the shit we're trying to take out the trying. That's the shit that we're correcting here.
It's really interesting. I have a very Canadian question for you on that topic. I remember, because, you know, I'm old, and, you know, the early 90s blame rock is totally was my genre.
Yep.
And I remember just Alanis Morissette. Okay. Good Canadian, beautiful woman, right? And Jagged Little Pill, very much blame rock. You know, I would say the you know, the theme to my college years, because I'm older.
Stop saying you're old.
older.
You are wise.
My experience.
Yeah, senior experience.
I want to be you when I grow up. So
see, grow up. See, old, not old. Anyways, Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill, amazing album. Like, listened to on repeat in, you know, the early to mid 90s. Concert, awesome. I know she went through her own healing journey, right? And then some subsequent albums came out that had a much more positive message, that weren't that blame, angry woman rock theme and like, wah, wah, wah. It just really didn't resonate with, as well as Jagged Little Pill did. And I'm wondering, like, if you have any thoughts, and it's just the first thing that came to mind when you were saying what you were saying, you know, how would that, like, more healing music even resonate right now with people?
That's an awesome question. And I think you're right on that. As we know, as language coaches, it's a time and a place piece. A lot of people aren't ready to open up to that side. They like the comfort of what they've been doing. They like the Alanis Morissette. They like especially Jagged Little Pill. That was such a victim mindset album. Great album, great musical composition, great, incredible album. The thing about Alanis that I admire so much as a songwriter is that she can fit 14 more syllables into one line than anybody else in the world. How does she do it? She's like, you know, this 90s rock rap almost, right? And she can just fit so many things in there. And in doing so, when you're putting that message out there, you're going to resonate, because there's a lot of other people that's a comfortable place to live in. It's comfortable to be, it's way easier. Let's say this. It's way easier to say, yeah, that's that guy's problem. It's way easier right now to say, oh, I can't go tour because of COVID. Bullshit. Look at what your definition of tour is. I know lots of people. Here's the thing. It's not a fact, because I know lots of people that are doing very well in here. So the people that choose to sit back and wait for others' permission to get going, yeah, maybe that music is going to resonate better with them because that is their mentality. That's where they're comfortable. They're comfortable letting other people control and dictate. They're not comfortable being in the driver's seat of their own friggin' life. Mm-hmm. That's not a me issue. That's a them thing. And they're going to have to come to that. The people that really do get the healing stuff are the ones that can face the devil. They can look at themselves and say, maybe there is something that I can do better. That's where over time, if you keep on putting music out there that is that, listen to Bob Marley, guys. Like, tell me how you feel after you listen to a Bob Marley song, even as victim as you possibly can. Maybe you just lost your job, your house is up, your car got in an accident, and you turn on Three Little Birds.
Exact song that came to my mind.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be all right.
Everything's going to be all right, brother. Like, you're going to be okay. And it's about taking that problem, turning it into an opportunity. The people that are successful will see that. So over time, I'm just going to keep on. I don't give a shit if it takes them 3 years before they get it, because they'll come back and they'll be like, I get it. And I've had that in my career. I've had people 4 years ago that have been in the drip and just been paying attention to this. You got to remember, I've been doing this since like 2015 on this same message. So the resiliency is real. I know that I'm fighting a battle, and I know that that's what it's going to take. I'm not trying to change the world. I'm trying to change my world.
Yeah, I like that. It's funny that you brought that song up. That was like the song for my teenage years when things were bad. And as teenage, lives, there's always drama.
Always, yeah.
And that was a song that my friends and I would play for each other when we were having big drama, because you're right. It's one of those things. Actually, I'm going to add that to our Pirate Spotify playlist when we finish this.
I was hoping you would sing it for us.
Oh God, who, Mike?
Well, Mike could too.
Oh boy. Well, we just funny you should say that, because 2 weeks ago we did our songwriter. You guys were partying down at the old pirate lab there. I was busy working up here, couldn't get across the border anyway.
Same.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we're sitting up here, and we had our songwriter clinic, and the last song that we played, just impromptu, we decided to do Three Little Birds. And the response from we had the whole place singing. Everybody was a cappella in it. I was hitting up the djembe, and it was just a really, really great experience. Music can bring people together, and it can tear people apart depending on the message. It can absolutely put you into a whole spiral, like I said, and that's what happened. I was listening at that time when I was playing victim. I was listening to guys like Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, all the stuff that was like super angsty. My adolescence, I hate life, and blah, 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 everybody else's problem but me, but I feel really great and tough, and I'm going to go lift it out and hit the gym. And then you go, what the hell am I doing? Wait a minute. This is me. I can fix this. I choose this, and I can choose this, and I can choose that. And as soon as you realize that you can just decide your own fate, cool. Game over. You can do whatever the hell you want. It's great. It's an awesome feeling.
There's definitely been times where when Lance and I are driving and we're listening to music and a song will come. This message is one that I don't want in my head. So we'll skip a because the lyrics that are in it, I'm like, those lyrics are not something in my head. And it took time to get there. Like I to that song without thinking about it a couple of years ago. So yeah.
And I remember having a conversation with our friend Adam Chin too on that. And it's amazing when you get that catchy little earworm, that little hook. I know they use Kelly Clarkson all the time, and it's true. You look at Kelly Clarkson, you look at, how about Meredith Brooks, early 90s, bitch. I mean, like, yeah, of course you're a bitch. What you're singing about it all the time. Like, do you expect it to change? Like, you're reinforcing that. And then you do that, and then you get that into the kids' ears, and the kids hear it because it's catchy melody, and then that stays. And subconsciously, it can do a lot of real good or a lot of real bad, and it's dependent upon. And that's why it's so important for me, for the music community, to be able to show that, hey, what if we had another way of doing this? You know, what if we could heal with our music, right?
Speaking of like the kids hearing it too, as a kids bop, all they are doing is changing a couple words here or there to make a pop, okay, quote unquote, okay for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I listen to lyrics of those too. And I'm like, when I heard the lyrics even more while into it, because it was hitting different. I'm like, this song is coming through children's mouths now. And yeah, it's true. Like we need better kids to be hearing too.
Totally. And out of everything, that's one of the biggest initiatives that we have, really, with the collective, with Music Fit Collective, is getting in, because, you know, people my age, people even a little younger than my age, we've become quite jaded and rooted in our ways, and it's a harder challenge. But how's the nice way? You can't teach the dog old trick or whatever, out of new tricks, old dog, something along those lines, right?
Old
Like,
dog, new tricks.
it's some about dogs and tricks, and they just don't. There's a lot. Yeah, it's essentially, there's a lot more resistance, right? There's a lot more resistance to people that have been doing things for 20, 30 years. And we know that that's just a learning thing. You know, the cool thing about learned behaviors is you can unlearn them. You can learn new ones. And when you incorporate this to the high school kids that are in music, and teaching them breath, teaching them movement, and not just movement in a sense like you're gonna, you know, your wrist might hurt because of overplaying and overstrain injuries, and your back might hurt because of the same reasons. However, have we ever considered the chakra system and where that actual energy is? And in the shoulders, that heart center, maybe it's your poor posture. Could it also be something that we haven't resolved from your early childhood, that, you know, you got maybe a daddy issue going on or something? You've got some a heartbreak, you broke up with, like, and you never really resolved that. Like, could that be a blockage in there? And when we start bringing that in and we start healing from the inside out, that's where the magic really happens. Because now people they go, oh, wow, I don't feel that anymore. Or I'm much further away from that story now. I can feel great. And, the light clicks on. They go, oh, I can do this. And that performance anxiety is no longer, you know, they don't get stressed out when they get up on stage now, because they've resolved maybe their 8-year-old self getting yelled by their aunt in front of the TV when she was trying to watch dinner and they were playing ukulele. Like, literally, that's a story that has happened. That's 100% the trauma that affects us through those years. And we carry that on. Maybe the poor diet that we're having as a musician is because we were always treated out to ice cream and McDonald's whenever mom and dad thought we were doing a good thing. So maybe that's our treat recognition. So what if it doesn't matter what fad diet you train, you're still going to come back to that ice cream until you resolve that? What if?
Oh, man, you just hit on so many of like first, I was learning to play the piano because I wasn't talking much. So she would teach me. We'd go out to McDonald's, and then she would have me order. So that was how I first. And then our piano was right in the living room. So when I would practice, yelled at for playing while the TV was on. So,
oh, man.
A couple of my pain points with piano.
You know, we could sit down, we could have a chat, we could figure this out. You know,
I feel like you two need a session here.
We might need to do a session here, really analyze this and dig in deep. Get
me to play the piano again.
And that's the thing. These are coming from real life experiences. These are conversations I've had with other people. So your story is much like many of the other musicians, and also the people that don't call themselves musicians. That's why I say, like, I bring out the inner rock star. Everybody's got a rock star inside of them. And oftentimes, even the guy that was fixing my car, the manager of the shop fixing my car, just lays in oh, what do you do? Oh yeah, well, I play a little guitar. I'm not really a guitarist. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting thought. What is a guitarist? And I asked him to basically define what a guitarist was. He goes, well, somebody who plays guitar. I'm like, well, you just said you play guitar, so aren't you by definition of your own? Aren't you a guitarist? Like, he's like, you know what? I never thought of it that way. I am. So I'm totally a guitarist. I'm going to go play today. And he's just like changed his day. I was like, that was interesting, because we tell ourselves these stories and we define these things based off of those identities that we had as a kid. I've run into so many people that aren't musicians, and I'm like, well, what do you do? And they're like, well, I play piano, I play a little violin. And I'm like, well, you're more of a musician than me. I play drums. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's crazy how we downplay our identity and what we can and what we do. And I've had the pleasure of working with doing some story work, language work with musicians as well. And there's so much similarity between the musicians and athletes in terms of the performance anxiety and the negative self-talk. And it's so I can clearly see where your marriage of movement and fitness and music really go together hand in hand for sure.
Just to touch on that, when I was training for Pyeongchang, that was the whole dream, right? To skate in South Korea. And when I came across the Russian speed skating team, and later in Inzel, my second day actually in Inzel, I hopped out a little bit ahead of the training team. I was just like, I'm just going to get out to the ice a little bit warmer. I was nervous. I wanted to be sure I was warm, right? And I'm like, these guys are ballers, so I better get out there. Meanwhile, I'm like a hack that skates hockey, and yeah, I'm a natural athlete and everything, but I don't know the sport. I don't know the rules. I don't know anything, right? I'm just going out there and just going. I get out there, and in speed skating in Europe, it is a real thing. And these guys, there's rules on the ice. And I remember hopping into what I thought was just another train. Turns out they pull off their jerseys and it's Team Poland. Oh my God. I'm at the end of Team Poland, a eight skater train, and I'm the eighth. And the thing in trains is you do 2 laps generally. So about 1,000 meters as lead, and then you drop back and the next guy goes, and then drop back and the next guy goes. So as soon as one guy got behind me, you don't get out. That's the rules. That's just the way it goes. So I'm by the end of it. And meanwhile, I'm like 2 years into my skating career. I'm not able to skate with Team Poland. Okay. And I'm going around, and I get to the last round and I'm just holding on like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Right. And then I get off, and the rest of the team by that time had caught up and they all see me and they're killing themselves laughing because I'm just dead. Right. Like, you can see when a skater is just dying. Right. I'm flailing, and I get up, and the coach is standing there. He's like, you can sit out practice this morning. You're good. I think you got enough in, because we did like I did 8,000. It was just, it was not good. 8K with Team Poland. Cool. So the mentality, where I'm going with this, is the mentality is win. Win, 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 win. And when they don't, look out. Because that's like a shot to, like, that's who you are. If you're not there. And the same thing goes with the rock star. When you get up on stage, your job is to just crank. What if I miss a note? What if I sing the wrong line? What if I forget the lyrics? What if I drop my sticks? All these things are real things. And if we start what if I just kick its ass? What if I sing the best I've ever sung? That alone, just what ifing the amazing instead of the, absolute catastrophe, that makes a big difference right there. That's the biggest thing I've seen with both working with athletes and musicians. Just imagine everything going amazing, the best. Dream big, because it'll come true, right?
Well, it's funny. I was just actually before this podcast got off a call with one of my musician clients, and last week she had 2 performances this last week. So she's doing a concert series in the park. So yes, there are still ways to perform during COVID, and she's definitely found them. And I remember last week we were talking and she was very nervous. And I said, what are you nervous about? She's like, if I screw up. I'm like, cool. Remember back to the last time you screwed up during a performance. She's like, okay, yeah, I got it. I'm like, cool. Did anyone notice? She's like, no. I'm like, cool. So what's the problem? Right? I'm like, sometimes even if we look at those worst case, her worst case was something that no one else even noticed. Nobody. Right? I'm like, did life go on? Did your family love you less? Yeah. I'm like, did any of these bad, horrible things happen? No. Not cool. Chance. So maybe we can stop worrying about all of those things because even if the worst case happens, the consequences are not what we imagine them to be. Our family didn't hate us and love us less. People didn't ship notice. You off
to Siberia.
Yeah, they didn't start chucking rotten tomatoes at you. So it was even, going through, yes, the great what ifs. I do also like going through the bad what ifs and really looking at what those consequences might be. And it was funny. My coach, who is not an Enlifted coach, I love him. Bless you, Tom, wherever you are. Probably not listening to my podcast. But I was getting
Tom Sorosi.
Yeah, Tom Sorosi.
Tommy.
Also, this is also his Zoom account. Don't tell Tom. For those of you that don't know, every time I sign on to this podcast, I sign on as Tom Sorosi.
And I sing for her. Tom Sorosi is here.
Tom Sorosi's in the house. Bless you, Tom. But it was a big competition. I was really nervous. It was an Olympic lifting competition. It was provincials. I was trying to qualify for getting a World Masters qualifying total. I was worried about making weight, all of these things. And in his own way, as not even an Enlifted coach, he's like, is your family going to love you less if you fuck up? I'm like, no. He's like, so who cares? Yeah. Right? Not quite the way I put it to my clients, but still like that was, we put so much pressure on ourselves, and of course we want to win, but what are the consequences if you don't?
Bingo.
Right.
Yeah. Put it all in perspective. Yeah. It like worst case scenario it, and then go off the deep end. Like I love doing that too. Like, cause then you get people, and that's where the pattern disrupt comes in, right? Where you're wearing a hat and blue blockers on a podcast, and people are like, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah, exactly. Or where I start my meetings on the 07. So I've never actually come across somebody who's late for an 07, because what if you're late for an 07? You don't want to test the waters there. But just those little pattern disrupts, when you start like building up, okay, cool. So your family's going to hate you. They're going to probably ship you off to Siberia. Like we already said, At that point, it's cold in Siberia, and you're a temperate at best type of personality. So you're not going to really do well there. You're going to probably freeze to death, lose your legs. If not, all of your body will just freeze out in the Arctic tundra. And then, you're gonna have to deal with Vladimir Putin himself, and who knows what could happen there, right? And just go off the deep end, right?
If the polar bears don't eat you,
exactly. It's between Putin will, yeah, okay, exactly. So if the bears don't get you, Putin will, right? And then you get the smile on the other side of the screen or in live, and they start going, "That's ridiculous." I'm like, "Isn't it?" That's what I thought. Okay, cool. Moving on.
Yeah.
That's where we're at, guys. All of these things when you get up on stage, and that's life stage, not just a rock star stage. When you get up on stage and you're doing your thing, shit's gonna go sideways sometimes. That's cool. Deal with it. It's okay. It's good. Roll with it. Make it part of you. When you can embrace that stuff, you become more human. People like you more. Your likability goes way through the roof when they can realize, oh, this guy, especially somebody like a rock star, somebody like an athlete, somebody you admire, when they show their flaws, man, is that cool. I friggin' love that. My favorite part about watching band documentaries is going behind the scenes and seeing them as people. I mean, that's my favorite part.
That must be why our podcast is so popular.
In the human moments.
Tons of flaws. Just, that's the way
all
it goes.
The flaws.
Is that your dogs in the background?
you're breaking up. I can't hear you. What is? I gotta go, guys. That's exactly it, though. It's have fun, guys, and be yourself because everybody else is taken. Like that's. It's so important to just roll with it. You're good. You're great. You're awesome. You got a rock star inside you. Live it. Right.
Quote from Mike. You got to rock.
Hey, we have a federal election coming up, Mike. You should.
I know.
You should run.
The hat. Hey, the hat would do it.
Captain of Canada.
Literally Captain Canada here, guys.
Captain Canada.
People have been calling me that for a little while since I started wearing the hat too. And it's really funny because I'll get stopped in, as you know, Ron, High River, small town. When I walk outside with this, people look, okay? Because it's usually a cowboy hat. They're like, excuse me, sir, did you lose your ship? I'm like, funny you should ask. Most people would assume I'm a naval captain, but I'm sailing to another galaxy. And then I just roll off and they're like, what the hell was that?
Small town Canada.
Oh, it's brilliant. Sometimes you can just play with it and just mess with people. It's hilarious. So it's, but it's all in good fun. And that's the important thing is that, again, it's way more fun to just have fun. I treat life as a playground. I literally wrote a short story called The Playground. That's my text for the music bit method. So if I come off across as a kid, that's because I am. I'm just a bigger kid. It's really fun. Look at kids. They go out and they play all day. And they come in, they imagine the wildest things. You ever had a conversation with a kid that you weren't just like absolutely enthralled with? I am all the time. They're so great. They're just like, where did you come up with that?
I worked with five, and I was listening to them play one time. I was doing improv classes and then also going into work the next day and listening to kids play. And I'm like, dude, improv is what truly for adults. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh man. Favorite improv game. Go.
Oh goodness. There's I think it's called Zoom Schwartz. Zoom. Isn't
that what we're doing today?
Hey, we're in Zoom.
We're in Zoom Schwartz right now. I am the game.
And that one, there were like all these little different things that you had to do, and it was really fast.
Oh yeah.
Rules.
I love Names from a Hat, where you'd write down titles of songs and you have to actually like sing. I love improv, if it's any wonder, right? I'm really shy, so Names from a Hat, where you write down titles of songs and then you'll have to just break into the song when you pull that out or read out that line. That one's fun. And then kneel, sit, and stand is so funny, or bend over, sit, stand, whatever it is. And you've only got one chair as the prop and you got usually 3 on stage. So much fun because you're just like trying to find like it brings out the language part of it. And it also brings out the physical, improv where it's such a great way for team building too. It's just like getting over that fear of just being on the spot. That's cool. Like that's a fun warm-up drill for anybody, any movement coaches out there that are thinking, oh, that's drama stuff. No, it's theatrics and it's awesome.
So when you're working with people and starting their own social rebellion, becoming their own rock stars, what is the most uncomfortable question that you can get people to ask themselves in order to start this journey? Or one of the most uncomfortable questions. It's always a lot of pressure when you're like the number one top.
Well, because it does depend on the person and very situationally, but one that is very common is asking what they're afraid of. And the follow-up on that is usually success. When you ask that, they'll usually backpedal a bit and be like, oh, I'm not afraid of nothing. And I'm like, okay, well, why haven't you accomplished what you want to accomplish that you said you would accomplish 6 months ago? And especially when it's dealing with what I've seen most recently here is album releases. Oh, well, I'm just got to wait for it to be perfect. And then coming back to earlier topic, well, what about your last release? Was it perfect? No. I'm like, okay, cool. How did it go? Well, it's doing really great. Interesting. So what are you waiting for it to be perfect for? right? And it's a hesitation because of that fear of what if I actually do, what if all those dream big things, that's the scariest thing for most people. That's the hardest question, most uncomfortable piece, is trying to get them to realize that they're actually that good. Right. And when you loft a question in there, like, what if you become a friggin' rock star and you are famous? They go, ooh, it's really uncomfortable. And then you see the wheels start spinning, and then the grin comes up on their face like, that could be pretty cool. That's what I wanted. But they're holding on to this comfort of like them playing small down here. So that's uncomfortable. That the difference between what they want to be and where they are right now, they just feel that they don't have that to close the gap. And then you give them that inspiration, or you give them that. I think there's three things that are key to that. Is you've got to have hope for doing it. You have to have something or somebody to, like, that positive influence. You've also got to have love, and that's love for the people around you, love for what you're doing, and most importantly, love for yourself. The third key to that, though, is purpose. You've got to have the purpose. You've got to have a reason to put that music out there. And generally, when we tap into those three streams, we can get them to go from B level to A+ in overnight. Honestly, it's just a switch like that. They're like, oh shit, okay, I can do it. And then we get immediate action. So breaking that barrier, it's a bit of a science, but you get that uncomfortable feeling of, oh man, success is that close. You know? So I think that's the most uncomfortable piece.
Success is real and scary. That's one that writing, working on a children's book, where I've realized the fear of that succeeding to an extent of like, why? Because then I have to do a next step. Then I have to do another thing. You
got to follow it up. Yeah. And I believe the same thing true. And the best book I've ever come across that tackles that, actually there's three that I dish out on the regular. The War of Art, Stephen Pressfield. That's my absolute go-to. That book, I got to credit a good friend of mine, Kirby Criddle, great singer-songwriter, great activist, great, amazing human being out in Saskatchewan. And she just tossed that book to me when she was touring through to Calgary, and she just couch surfed my place. And she said, you should read this book. And I read it. And then I picked up a guitar, and then I played 3 songs. And I'd never, ever done that before. I didn't even know how to play guitar. And I wrote 3 songs inside of a week off of that, because it helps you get over your creative blocks, right? The second book on that would be, what is the name of it? Oh, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, Pirate. Be More Pirate, obviously. That's a great one. And then, oh man, I'm drawing a blank on the third. Shoot. Okay, well, we'll go with 2 for now. And then when the third comes into me, I'll blurt it out like I usually do. It's just sitting right there. It's a creative. I've got it in my house somewhere over here. Oh, is that it right there? No, I can't see it. Anyways, it's somewhere around here. And it's great. Again, along the same lines of getting across the creative blocks and how to really rally that. Because once you create something, there's all this pressure that you've built up. How am I going to live up to number 2? And the same thing goes for an athlete. Same thing goes for the sophomore jinx, right? You know that you're a rookie, you're in the league, you're doing well. And then your second year comes in and you got to live up to all those expectations of you being awesome at the first year. How could you possibly be worse by statistical means in the second year? You're supposed to always get better, right? And I think that's a culture thing. That's just the way we're grown up, and something's got to give and be a little more realistic with those kind of expectations. And it starts with yourself. Accidental creative. There we go. I knew it. That was quicker than usual. All right. Accidental creative. Be More Pirate, Accidental Creative, and The War of Art. There you
go. On the books, I'm like, I do that all the time, holding things on the tip of my tongue. I'm like, it's there.
Yeah, that's me. My life in general. Oh.
Well, Mike, we can tell you like to have fun, enjoy, you like being very childlike. What are you doing to throw is than those trying to destroy the world so that the world can be a better place.
That is awesome. And thank you for the kind words. I do like to have fun. The number one thing I do every single day is be myself. And some people love that. Some people don't love that. And at the end of the day, that's them. You're never as good as they say you are, and you're never as bad as they say you are. And if you keep on rolling with just being yourself and having a good time, if that's what you are, if you're a very serious person, you got to be a very serious person. If that's what you are innately, you're not going to try to be something that you're not. And the thing that I do is just go through my life and spread hope and happiness to anybody I come in contact to. If it's down at the store, you say hi to somebody, smile, just that can make somebody's day. Plus it feels freaking good inside. I do shit because it feels good for me. I compliment people because I like to compliment people, and they've got a great hat. You know, I saw a guy yesterday, he had a fantastic hat, and it was made from he went to like an indigenous circle and somebody handmade this hat for him. I learned so much from a 5-minute interaction of a dude sitting outside a store. That's literally what I did. He was complimenting me on my dog. He's like, your dog, he is really quiet. He didn't even bark at me once. I'm like, oh, that's because he speaks German. The German Shepherd. And the guy had a laugh, and I was like, I love your hat, man. And it was just that kind of a moment when you get those opportunities to really sit. And every morning I wake up and I say, I thank you for, if the birds are chirping. Ordinarily 5 years ago, this would have pissed me off or something, right? And now I'm looking at all those things that were minor nuisances, and I'm looking at them going like, these are brilliant parts of the life. I'm so grateful to be alive every single morning that I wake up, and if the sun's blaring in my eyes, or if there's a tractor outside, I wake up and I go, thank you for having windows on this house of mine, for it would be much louder if I weren't in a house. You got to look at it that way, right? And that tractor, thank you for starting at 8 a.m. because it would be much worse if it was 3 a.m. Right? It could, and little things like that. And the fact that you wake up and there's sun going on. Like, some people don't wake up in sunshine. Some people wake up in a lot of darkness. And I don't mean that physically. I mean, they wake up and they immediately turn on the negative. And when you can wake up and you can immediately turn on Michael Jackson and start making pancakes like I did this morning, and having a good shave and a TikTok about it, like, it was like, you gotta put yourself in. A lot of people this is a really cool one. I thought of this a while ago. I like it. A lot of people wait for the feeling. And the word I like to use is emotion. They've got to feel, oh, you know, I'm not feeling writing a song right now. I'm not feeling writing that next line to that book. I'm not feeling like posting to Instagram. I'm not feeling like going for a walk, whatever it is. I'm not feeling like going to the gym. I'm not feeling like cooking a healthy meal. Oftentimes we got to look at the root word though, motion. Put yourself in motion. Put yourself in motion. Start swinging the mace. Start cooking a good breakfast. Start going for a walk. Put your shoes. If you get into the gym, you're finding a hard time getting to the gym, put the shoes by the door one day. Put the gym bag by the door one day. By the next day, oh shit, you got your shoes in your gym bag. Why don't you just go out the door? Even get down the steps out to the car. Okay, cool. Now leave the gym bag in the car. Step by step, you're putting yourself in motion to actually carry out the task that you're set to do. Oftentimes we wait and we procrastinate, and we put on. Procrastination is the biggest waste of freaking time in the world. And if you want to get anything done, stop procrastinating. Just start doing, and then you're going to start to feel like you're doing it. How many times have you ever gotten into a workout? I'll just use that. And you felt bad after it. Ever? So go into it. No, nobody has, because it changes you from a physical standpoint. It literally changes the way that your brain works. So if you can start to put the wheels to the pavement, you will take off in that car of life. And that's the end of the day. That's all you can do. Start doing.
I love that. And to bring it back to music, like, one of the things that we learned in Enlifted, and that I do with my clients, and I do myself still every day, is having a theme song. And I love having a theme song. And my theme song is also my alarm. Yes. So I start every morning with Van Halen Jump.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like I start myself in that mind frame of, well, might as well jump, right? This is what we're doing today. We're taking action. We might as well get it done. And it really helps. It's better than like, I don't know, some, thing beeping at you or yelling at you or whatever.
For sure. Yeah.
It's starting with that mindset every single day that music is bringing me. And I love doing that with my clients. And, I know like Kristen and we've talked about this before, but our theme songs, we used to have different theme songs. Those can evolve and change in their dynamic.
Yeah.
But we would both listen to them on our way to work. And this was back in the olden days when we had jobs that we didn't like.
Yeah.
But we would get we would get ourselves into a more positive mind frame by listening to those theme songs on the way to work. Oh, like I know I would just put it on repeat until that message just would sink in, because I feel like the first few times I'm still half asleep driving on autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think I heard that song. I know it played 4 times, but I don't think I've heard it.
Yeah. Exactly. Right.
So I love that what you're talking about is just getting the action, and that's how I love to bring music into it as well. It's just starting that day with that positive music that gets you in that right mindset.
It's exactly it. And coming full circle, I'm interested though, is it like right at the start, like intro, like
yeah that's what wakes me up.
And then the second round the drums kick in.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like it's just time to wake up now.
Yeah. Oh,
that's how I wake up every
man.
morning.
Rest in peace, Eddie. Man. Rest in amazing. Rest in awesomeness, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's such a killer song, and the message behind it so applicable. My theme song, again, like you said, like when people ask favorite song, favorite albums, hardest question in the world, because it really depends on the moment. My go-to though is Run DMC's "It's Tricky." On the surface, really fun song. Mm-hmm. Deeper meaning. It's tricky to rock a rhyme that's right on time. It's tricky to be yourself all the time and impress everybody also at the same time. Mm-hmm. That's what I take out of it. It's a challenge to be authentic and appease everybody. So why bother? Mm-hmm. Right? That's like, get up, be you, go to town and dance. Right? Like you can have a fun time and you can make a fool of yourself, because people are going to think what they think anyway. So just go with it. Like
you can dance if
that's you can dance if you want to.
I would rather not leave all my friends behind.
No, me neither.
No.
No.
But if they don't dance, and if they don't dance,
they're no
friends of mine. I did say like everything is a song lyric that's sung at 11 as well, right? So I'm sure I irritate people like my mom all the time, because she'll say something, she'll be like, well, that seems tricky. I'm like, well, Mom, is it tricky? She's like, yeah, it's tricky. Woo! The speech is my recital. It's very bad. And she's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, you sang a song, Mom. It's your fault.
My partner will do a few lines of a song. He'll say it to me in like conversation, and it sets me off. He's like, "You're so easy." It's like winding up a doll. Like, you just
Same.
give me that few words, and I'm taking off on it.
My favorite part, actually, one of my mentors and one of my very first coaches, JP Sears. Most people know him as a comedian, and I learned of him as a comedian. Now, being a Czechie, I did my Holistic Lifestyle Coach 1 with JP back in the day when he was still part of the Czech Institute. And I knew that I had something immediately, because I was the only guy in the class of 20 that picked up. He goes, "Hey guys, before we start the last lesson here today, I just want to take a personal moment, okay?" And we're all like, "Oh, okay, cool. JP's going to get heavy." JP puts his hair back in a ponytail. Goes, "Guys, I just wish I was a little bit taller. Wish I was a baller. Wish I had a girl who was cool. I'd call her. Wish I had a rabbit in the hat in the back of my 6'4" Impala." And nobody got it except for me. I'm like, I went up after. I'm like, nobody else got that. He's like, it was impressive. You were the only one, and thank you. It was just like, and that's when I knew. I'm like, okay, song lyrics can be spoken, and you can really. And what he was doing there was just pattern disrupt, because we were coming into some really heavy stuff. I later learned like that was incredibly intentional, because we're going into how the equivalent of language work, bringing up your emotions and really digging with the actual chakra stuff. So he would actually use a lot of the same principles that we use as Enlifted coaches. So the two marry very, very nicely together. And when you bring a sense of humor to an ordinarily heavy piece, you'll get a much better reaction. I found out. So it was a cool life lesson at that time. Plus, like, come on, Skilo, come on, guys. Yes, I'm going with it. So
we had a great conversation with, I don't know if you, I'm just going to assume you know Brady Brewer, also an Enlifted coach, right?
Absolutely.
The spiritual DJ.
Yeah, good friend.
And I'm wondering if for you, I know we had this conversation with him, that for some people, music is all about the music, and for some people, music is about the lyrics. Do you have something that touches you more, or is it just really song dependent?
I will preface this with, it is usually song dependent. Most often it's rhythm. Most often the first thing I hear is the bass line. Most people would assume the drummer, oh yeah, you hear drums. I'm like, no, I listen to my partner in crime, bass, right? And that's how I lock in with drums. So I think for me, it's mostly a rhythm, and lyrics come. It's an interesting pathway, because Brady and I have had that conversation too, because when he and I worked together, he actually helped uncover a relationship that I was going through. And one of the ways that he did it was through his work. We went to that song that put me into that song, or into that moment in my life. And I was describing the rhythm and the aggressive nature of the drums and the heaviness of the guitars and all of that. And that all of these words were like, wow, that's really weighing on you. Hey, because it was like things like heavy, aggressive, angry. It felt really vengeful, I believe was the word I used too. And then we started listening to the song as a whole piece after we got off of the surface level of what Mike was listening to. Mike was listening to all the musicality and the actual instrumentation. And then we got into the lyrics. And through the musicality, like we were saying earlier, when you've got that hook, you start to maybe, what's the word? Negate, or just sort of like, oh, off. Just put the lyrics over here, even though they're earworming into you. And we looked at the lyrics and I was like, oh my God, wow, that's why I'm so stuck. And then we looked at it, we changed a few words in those lyrics, and it changed the whole song. So I think it's a layer approach, just to answer that in a really roundabout way. But for me, the first thing I listen for is rhythm. That's what connects me to a song. Is like, I'll hear that bass line, or I'll hear that key synth pattern come up, and I'll be able to lock something in, and I'll get a vibe from it right away. You can tell if it's going to bring me up or if it's going to bring me down immediately from what the bass and the rhythm is doing. Right.
Cool.
So tell us more about the programs that you have, and what your...
The Music Fit method is, we're doing our next intake actually October 1st. And the easiest way for me to boil that down is it's a program to help create fucking rock stars. that's to find that inner rock star in oneself, especially geared towards the music industry professionals, be it artists, managers, anybody in the actual industry, because we do tend to have, I speak that language. That's what I do. The first step is really uncovering, admitting, facing the devil, whatever you want to say. I say, check yourself. The great American poet, Ice Cube, said it best. Check yourself before you riggedy wreck yourself. All right. So step one, check yourself. Step two, get the junk out of the trunk, like Fergie Ferg and the boys. Okay. Once we get an idea of, oh, wow, okay, there could be another way, then we got to really unearth that. We got to bring it out. Okay. And then the third step to that is, how do we do that? Move it. I like to move it. I like to move it. So we do move it. And that's both through energizers, which is a checky thing, my patented energizer work, where we clear out the chakras. That stuff is what, combined with the breath and the language, we move you through all of that past trauma. Because oftentimes, like just coming back to the example, a lot of the people are really focused on, well, I've stuck with like 4 different diets, I haven't lost the weight that I've lost, you know, they have all these things, and they're starting with these habits of eating well and trying to get on the right diet and try to sleep better, work on their sleep hygiene. And that's actually in step 3. That's the kind of stuff, those are habits. We haven't even identified the root problem though. And that's the problem, is most people try to jump right to those habits. They try to get to the gym, they try to get into the best diet, they try to do all these things, and they fall off, and they go on and they fall off, they go on and they fall off. So I skip those, the fall off piece, and we actually get results by starting with identifying and getting the junk out. And then we can move forward to filling that space back with the positive reinforcing habits. That's the 3rd step. 4th step's easy. That's rock star. That's rock star status. You just start owning and celebrating your wins. You start moving more. You start looking towards what's the next thing, what's the next thing, what's the next mountain I can climb, because we're at a place where we've faced it. We've cleared out the crap, we've brought in the good, and now we can move forward in the direction that we wanted to when we first started this whole journey. And I wrap that all up in a nice little bundle of 12 weeks. That's the Music Fit method. And that's unlimited coaching. That's the offer I've got on. And that's because there's one way to do it. And unfortunately, a lot of coaches skip right to step 3. They go, okay, it's all about habits. It's all about habits. And they skip the steps of the actual identity. So people get results for a while, and then they'll fall off. And I did that. That was me. When I came back from Germany, I was like, you know, I'm good. I'll just, woo, you know, I can do it. And then I fell off, and then I couldn't. And then I binged into booze, and then I binged into the party nightlife because I was distracting myself from what was actually going on inside. As soon as I discovered that, we could work through it. We could be okay with being okay. And then over time, I started implementing that with my clients. And now, poof, here we are. We got the Music Fit method, proven, done, works. It's great. It's awesome. People are rock stars. People love it overnight. Like the mindset switch is just the biggest key. So that's what we got. And like I said, intake now, the next intake is going to be October 1st. So looking for some more rock stars out there.
Very cool. And where can our listeners go to find out more about you?
Yeah, we can head on to musicfitcollective.com. I'm all over the socials. Just the one thing though is just hit the collective. You'll find me. You'll find Coach Mike up on that website. It's one handy little tool, Music Fit Collective. That's the founding company here that I created, of a whole bunch of pirate gangsters such as yourselves and Brady and people we've mentioned on the show here too. Just it's a community of awesome, right? Where people can really get the right, I call them free resources, right? Free resources to help move you through the stuck. And if you're not quite ready to jump in and go full steam ahead, there's a lot of ways that you can just level up on your own pace. So that's the easiest way to kind of find out what I'm all about, what the program's all about, what the other people in the program, because it's much bigger than me. This, rewriting the story of what the music industry is a hell of a lot bigger than Mike Schwartz. It's like that's a legacy thing, and we've got a really good strong team that all believe the same way, that are artists first, right? And music buffs, musicians themselves, like the majority of everybody plays. And like I said, music hits everybody in different ways, so it's one common thread, one common language that everybody can speak, and that's the cool bit. musicfitcollective.com.
Going back to Bray too, he made a cool playlist for our community. We've been putting on songs that are speaking to us. It's mainly Kron, Brady, and I so far. Yeah. I'll send you the link, and if you have some songs you want to add to it as well, it'd be super cool.
The link is in our Instagram bio.
Oh yeah, it is.
Any listeners that would like to?
Yeah. Collaborative. I love, and you learn so much. That's one of my prerequisites on anybody enrolling in my programs, or anybody coming to guest on my podcast as well. What's your walk-up jam? I need to know that. You can learn a lot about somebody on just the music that they're listening to that gets them spiked and gets them ready to be peak. And I'd be honored. That'd be awesome. That's what really, like, just to, bundle this right back up to where it started. That's what really got me into teaching exercise, honestly, was music. I had an opportunity. The regular teacher, good friend of mine, was stuck on the other side of the city and couldn't make his abs class. He taught abs Monday, Wednesday, Friday at a place called World Health here. Way back in the day. It's like first year. And I was just a sales guy, right? I went to all of his classes. And he goes, Mike, I need you to run the class. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I'm not you. Like, he's like, no, you know what to do. And just go grab my iPod. It's still in my desk. Grab my iPod, put on the songs that you want. And I was like, oh, now we're talking. Okay, cool. I don't have to listen to that junk. Good, sweet. I'm in. So I just got really cool with DJing playlists. And that's what I do, is essentially I create flow jam. So I create my group fitness classes are based around, rather than a timer and a stopwatch, we do intervals of music so people can get into the actual, you really do connect with an actual movement piece that the music brings out of you. You're much more, if you let yourself get into the music, you can move much better. And that's the practice that is kind of the secret sauce. It's the secret sauce of what the Music Fit method is using music to move through. Right. So I'd be happy to put in some of the bangers that come up, both myself and then other artists that they write really great music. And it's a cool place to be in when you get to that point where you're listening to music from a different place, where it's like, wow, this can really change my whole aspect of what I thought today was going to be, just from one song. That's all it takes. So,
and how awesome to have a playlist where you don't have to skip over songs because of the poor messaging. I can't listen to these lyrics today.
Yeah, you know what? One song that, just on that topic, that gets me all the time is 3 Days Grace. I Hate Everything About You. When that song came out, I immediately hated it, and I immediately hated the band. I didn't connect at all with that. I was like, that is not my favorite. And granted, I'm sure they're great songwriters, but I won't, just from that first experience, I'd really have to, I got to talk to Brady, see if he can work something with me. Why do I hate them so much? Right?
I mean, it's right in the title.
It's there. It hit me so hard. And I was like, wow, you're an angry dude. I don't want to be around that. You can't hate somebody that much. Like, what did they do? Oh, change those words up, bud. What did you do? Right? Simple ownership, reflection, turn those projections around. What did you do? How could you be responsible? Right? It's little things like that. So yeah, you're right.
And how would you recommend our listeners go about starting their own pirate life and taking small, bold actions?
Ooh, I love this question. I've said a little bit of it before too. It's being yourself and going against the grain. I strongly believe, and this is a line out of Be More Pirate that I'll quote, is that the only thing stupider than stupid rules is the people that follow them. I strongly believe that. Because if you're just going with the grain and going with it because, oh, hey, it's just my job. I've got to do it because it's my job, or I've got to do it because that's what I got to do. There's lots of examples in the real world right now where people are just doing because it's like, you're not turning your brain on. Turn your brain on. Think about what's actually good for you, because the doctors are going to tell you something. The coaches are going to tell you something. Your teachers are going to tell you something. Your parents are going to tell you something, but nobody, and I mean that negation acknowledged, nobody has lived a single day in your life. So you really know what's best for you. So if you want to make massive action as a pirate gangster, choose, decide, be yourself, make decisions based off of you. Take back the wheel of your own car.
Last question, our favorite question is, do you know any pirate jokes?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm just going to preface this. My favorite mug.
What would Taylor Swift do?
Okay. Do you think Taylor Swift is a pirate? What do you think?
I don't know.
I
if have
haven't
opinions here.
considered Taylor to be a
Okay.
pirate.
Okay, that's cool. I know she is. I
Mm.
know she wrote a song actually that gave it away. Are you ready for it?
Oh.
And Tay Tay is a total. She is a total pirate gangster. Here's why. She is a great example of that statement there. What would Taylor Swift do? She, love her or hate her, she changed the game. And when she left the label that she was originally assigned to, because they were trying to control, and where an artist can really resonate on this is that is your creative intellectual property. And when other people think that they're going to make decisions on your and decide what your art is to you, that's a big WTF moment for me as an artist. This is an expression of my being. That's like saying, hey, I think you need to, change your hair and all of your clothes. And that's what they were literally doing to make her this pop star that she was going to be, or this country pop star that she was going to be. And she went a different route. So it's the Mad Max principle. When everybody's going this way, you go that way. Right. And I learned that one from my friend DJ C-Trip. He's a pirate as well. So think about it. Tay just went the other way, and she was one of the only artists that did 2 full albums over COVID. Like she put out more music in the last 2 years than she ever has in her career in this same time span. Why? When none of the music industry can work, we're not able to. No, but you can do. What would Taylor Swift do? Well, she wrote 2 freaking albums. What are you doing? Sitting on your hands? Cool. Yes, she is a pirate. In my humble opinion. Love her. Named my car Swizzy. So
Good to know.
big fan. Big fan.
Well, this has been a lot of fun talking to you, Mike.
Thank you.
I'm always excited when I get a fellow Canuck on here.
Yeah. We got some more.
I texted Chris and I'm like, we got another Canuck today.
Yeah.
Someone on my side of the border.
I know, right? I know. And it's
Trapped
amazing.
on this side of the wall.
Yeah, trapped on the north side. Yeah, we're the Northern Warriors over here. That's cool. I love it. Yeah, likewise. Guys, this has been a blast. Thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah.
It's cool to share with like-minded individuals and rally the troops to, rewrite some rules, especially around rock and roll.
Definitely.
It's rock and roll, guys. There are no rules. This one goes to 11. That's it, right?
To 11.
There we go.